It has been a tumultuous start to this week, and somebody who is keeping a close watch on developments is political commentator Solly Moeng. Welcome back with us, Solly.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. It's a fast moving news cycle, country, South Africa.
Angry South Africans have defied President Cyril Ramaphosa's uh, address to march again against the employment of foreigners.
Yeah. Look, Ramaphosa is a very lucky dude, I must say, because when he first became president, people thought he would be the last hope for South Africa. He's a charming man on a good day. He's the kind of guy you want to hug, you want to believe him. He seems credible when he says stuff, but he knows how to use that to manipulate. He says all the right things. Now, I think that a lot of people now are beginning to see through him. Somebody showed me a video of him speaking out against illegal foreigners. I think it was shot in 2019. So people are saying, wait a minute, it's enough. You can fool some of the people all over the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all over the time. The fact is there's a serious issue of illegal immigration in South Africa. There's a serious issue of government employing people at home affairs border crossings who are either demanding or accepting bribes, even at traffic licensing departments who are giving all sorts of official papers, South African papers to foreigners. And you cannot PR this thing away, sending for envoys to all these countries to say, look, we're busy working on this thing, don't worry. You can't keep putting a plaster on a wound that is clearly festering and expect that the wound will go away. It won't.
He took his time to make that address. Can you recall a time that he has spoken timeously?
No. No, Ramaphosa doesn't. I think he's the kind of politician who thinks, if I keep quiet, it'll go away because there's so much happening all the time. People will lose focus. They'll focus on the next big story. So he keeps hoping that for South Africans will forget it. But I think it seems to me that South Africans are beginning to say, wait, you can't keep doing that to us. To us, it's enough. He doesn't make decisions. And look, in terms of firing ministers, removing ministers, he doesn't listen. The former Minister of Justice who was implicated in VBS, instead of removing her, he shifted her sideways. And South Africans are not going to forget that. The former Minister of Health during COVID, Zwelin Kise, was sitting nicely as an ANC parliamentarian, chairing an important parliamentary committee. So all this stuff. And South Africans are like, wait a minute, we're being taken for a ride here.
So you're saying he puts his head in the sand, and then when he can't keep it in there anymore, he comes out and tries to gaslight the nation.
Yeah, but I also wonder, maybe it's a structural issue. We know that the president, just like all politicians elected in government, are deployees of their respective political parties, right? If we look at the kind of people who were sitting at the top seats of the ANC, it doesn't give anybody courage. So they have to agree, do we fire this one? Do we remove this guy? Do we not? I don't think that he takes these decisions on his own. He's not a victim. He's the leader of the party. But point is, look at Sotashe. It took time for him to remove her, right? Others he doesn't remove because he has to work with a party that says, no, you move here, no, you don't move there.
Now, meanwhile, there's mystery surrounding the social media campaign to position Freedom Front Plus Minister of Correctional Services, Peter Groenewald, as a future president. What is going on there?
That's quite interesting, isn't it? And Conor Melder doesn't seem to be happy with it. He seems to be saying, well, I've been told by some Americans, I don't know which Americans, that there might be an intelligence-driven, drive, a propaganda machine to position Dr. Groenewald as a potential presidential material. I mean, they're coming from the same party. He's Groenewald is his predecessor. Why can't they sort it out between themselves? He doesn't, and Groenewald has not said much. I haven't heard him say, "Look, I want to be president. I think I can be the next best thing for South Africa." And it's such a ridiculous thing because it comes from a small minority Afrikaans party. That's the basis of the EFF, or the FF plus, and for him to be supported by the majority of black voters is going to be quite interesting. I think Groenewald is a good guy. I'm not saying he's not. But it's a very ridiculous campaign. I don't know who said it. This who's driving it. Now we're hearing about songs supporting Groenewald's presidency, which are created by AI. Basically, it's an information warfare happening out there to manipulate the minds and hearts of South Africans. It's quite interesting.
And what would the motivation for such an intelligence operation be?
It's very hard to say. It really is hard to say. I mean, look, South Africans, first of all, it's true that we are tired of presidents who don't work for the people. We are tired of the ANC by and large. We are tired. We are disappointed in the GNU, which has turned out to be a dumb squid. So maybe some people think, we need somebody who has not much to lose. Groenewald is an older guy. He knows politics. He's a decent guy. He seems to me like a decent guy. Maybe that's what we need. Or maybe they're just trying to ruffle the feathers of Conor Melder because he's the leader of the party today and he's not happy with what is happening. He's not being pushed. Groenewald is being pushed. So it's a distraction. In any case, we're not voting for the president and we don't any vote directly for the president. The next election is about local governance. They're not about national governance.
Well, hopefully by the next time a president has to be elected, the nation is in a position to elect him themselves. What do you think, Solly?
Look, elections in South Africa are not just for the African National Congress and its parties, its friends to lose. They are for somebody to win. So if Groenewald thinks he might be the right candidate, it'll be up to him to come up with a good program and come up with a good team to say to South Africans, we have something totally different to offer you. This is what it entails. And it'll be up to South Africans to decide whether it's credible or not.
Now, questions are being asked about that so called 30 million rand donation to Rise Mzansi.
Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. Look, that's the thing. If we look at the leader of Razin Zanzi, he was I think, a largely respected media person before. This is what politics does to you. To run a political party, to grow his footprint, to stay in the game, you need a lot of money, and some of that money might come from places that you're not going to be able to speak about with your chin up, right? So seemingly, these guys were given 30 million rands as a loan and suddenly that loan just ahead of them being elected, one of them elected to chair this Section 89 committee, that loan suddenly gets turned into a donation. And the leader says, no, we just prepared to talk about the 1 million, not the rest of the money. Of course, it's nonsense. South Africans want to know, who is this group that's giving you this money? Some people call, we are the people. Who is running? We don't know that obscure movement. And we mustn't be naive. When the person from the ANC who elected Mahashule Gama to be, to lead, to chair this committee, didn't just rise on the day on his own. There's always a lot of political lobbying behind the scenes. There must have been hot first trading. Look, we're going to elect one of you. Whom do we elect, and who's going to support him? Suddenly, all the main GNU partners are standing with the ANC. So there's a lot of political horse trading that has taken place. And I think that, of course, this guy has been nominated, he's been supported, but there is reasonable apprehension of bias that any reasonable person looking at this thing from outside has a right to suspect. So we just are we being played again? Is it all about protecting Ramaphosa in exchange for their blue lights and comforts? We don't know. South Africans must keep the scrutiny on this one.
Healthcare matters, but what matters most?
Having cover for the people who keep this business going.
Bonitas is there for you when it counts. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
I'm just wondering whether the election of a Rise Mzansi MP as head of the impeachment committee could have had something to do with the timing of this loan or donation being questioned.
No, that seems so. It's look, the Razin Zanzi might not occupy a ministerial position in the GNU, but it has benefited from the broader GNU arrangement. I mean, the leader of Rasmus, a small party, is now the chairperson of SCOPA. It's a very important parliamentary committee that looks at spending, government spending, and all that. These guys are supposed to uh, uh, to 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 how to say it, to declare their political funding, where do they get the money from. So it's suddenly getting murky, very, very murky. And these are not two separate stories. The 30 million rand donation slash loan, and the appointment of this gentleman into the position. These are not two stories. One has to continue, and the IEC is doing the right thing to say, wait a minute, we need to know who are the people that gave you this money. How does it link to you getting support by the ANC that whose funding are you supposed to be questioning? Now the ANC decided, okay, we're going to support you. Like I say, all of this stuff follows a lot of lobbying behind the scenes before it gets to where you and I, as members of the public, see it. So we need to continue trying to see where the dots connect, because I do believe that the dots connect somewhere, and the world must watch this guy. No matter what he says, they would not have placed him in that position if they were not sure that he would do what he's expected to do. That is, not be too harsh on Ramaphosa. They have the numbers. They have the GNU numbers on their side. Let's see how they want to play the game.
In some good news, 14 police officers have now been suspended in relation to a tender linked to the politically connected Kat Madlala.
Yeah, look, it's all fine. It's all fine that all these senior police officers are being exposed, they're being arrested. Marcelo remains in prison for totally different things, reasons for attempted murder, and apparently a good number of other charges. There's a certain Maumela whose name keeps coming and disappearing, and it's just like nobody wants to talk about this man. So we need to know what is going on. You might remember that when the raid terrorist spoke about ESCOM a number of years ago, he said there was a politician he was afraid of mentioning. He hasn't mentioned. So each time there are these major investigations that happen, there are always names that do not get mentioned. Even at the beginning of this whole Madlanga thing, there was talk of 5 key leaders who are named. I think they've mentioned 3. There are still people who have not been made named. So what is going on? I think it's important that we don't just rejoice on the arrest of small guys. These are not small guys, of course. In the bigger scheme of things, these are very, very senior police generals, and when they have to be arrested, they're supposed to be, including the Fanny Masemola, who's the National Commission Police Commissioner. All these guys should be, but we need to know the political ties. I see something that's just come out that seems to link to Julius Malema. We don't know what else is going on out there. I think that we need to continue demanding. South Africans must continue demanding to know who else. Because if you arrest the small guys and you let the big guys continue the games they're playing on all of us, then we're going to end up having the same conversations in a year's time. This thing should stop, and they should dig out everyone who's hiding in the crevices of this madness, take them into the public space, and let the NPA, hopefully the NPA this time, will act without fear, favor, or prejudice and go after everybody who must be arrested. Else South Africans must vote. Well, they should anyway. With everything we've seen, South Africa needs change. We need to place this country ahead of all these men and women in politics.
Yes, according to court documents, there seems to have been an unethical relationship, to put it euphemistically, between General Feroz Khan of Crime Intelligence and the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of these things go back to who is funding which party. Nobody gives money to politicians for nothing. Okay, there's always a little, okay, we're going to support you here, provided you do X, Y, Z for us over there. So I'm not surprised. I think many South Africans are not surprised that, Malema's name is being mentioned here, and probably possibly other names will be mentioned. Now it's going to be up to the Madanga Commission, which so far carries a lot of public favor. And I really hope that they continue digging and showing the public what's going on, because this is what the public wants to see. If there's Malema today, there are other leaders of political parties who've been used to manipulate parliamentary processes in favor of the people who support them or not, this stuff has to be exposed. And South Africans must be very, very clear about what country they want to live in. If you're going to support a political party or a politician because they speak well in front of cameras and microphones, they dance well, they say all the nice manipulating things to weaponize the pain of apartheid, colonialism, play the race card. And if that is, you allow that to happen at the expense of this beautiful republic of ours, then you are on the wrong camp.
You mentioned Maumela earlier, Hangwani Morgan Maumela, the nephew by marriage of President Cyril Ramaphosa. And the question on everybody's lips, why has he not been arrested?
Yeah, exactly. Why has he not been arrested? Even Ramaphosa tried to pretend he didn't know this man. I mean, like, the whole thing is so ridiculous. It's come out. It seems like people are afraid. Of course, many people have reason to be afraid because we've seen the number of assassinations that happen out there. But you know what? The truth has a way. It's like light. You can't hide it in darkness forever. The truth has a way of coming out. And the criminal justice system, whatever remains of it, if it takes itself seriously, it must convince the public that there's no reason for it to go after this Maumela guy. And if they are protecting him, then it means that we're in bigger trouble than it appears.
Start your day a step ahead. Biz News Insider. It delivers the business stories that matter every morning straight to your inbox. Sharp, fast, and free. Subscribe now. In uncertain times, good information is priceless. The Biz News Conference is heading back to the Drakensberg. Join me, Alec Hogg, from the 11th to the 14th of August for BNC 9, Champagne Sports Resort, where it all began, and where our community gathers for honest conversations, smart investing insights, and direct access to some of South Africa's sharpest minds. Come and rub shoulders with the best we've got. 28 keynote speakers, 3 days. Seats are available now. Book your seat by clicking the link in the description.
Quite. It's only Tuesday, Solly, but it's already been quite a week. Thank you so much for dissecting the latest developments for Biz News. That was Solly Moeng, political commentator, speaking to me, Chris Steyn.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Let's keep watching this space.